This we shall be good to go. Okay, we are streaming live onto our YouTube channel now. One of the biggest challenges that most people face in a business, providing good settings. I will not call it perfect settings because nobody could provide perfect settings for their robots, but everybody could provide good settings for their robot. And one of the most perfect first step any person should take before providing their settings to their robot, I would basically say could be the first perfect step could be wallet management. That could be the first perfect step, wallet management. But like I usually say, you can't manage what you don't have. Okay. Now, you can't manage what you don't have. Now, the first procedure I'm going to talk about only works if someone maybe has $500 and above. If you don't have that capital, you only can provide settings to save you. Right? You only can provide settings to save you, but you can't do the rest. Okay? So the only stuff you can do is to provide settings to save you. But if you have $500 and above, you could apply this strategy to help you. Are we together? So I'm going to share my screen and start up from there. That's going to be my first startup. Okay, so let me share my screen and let us look at the first thing of wallet management. Now, how can we manage our wallet? Very simple, guys. Wallet management is to provide settings for 60% of your capital. 60%. 60% of your capital. Julius, what do you mean by 60%? I have $1,000 times 60%. Oh no. I have 1,000 times 60% of my capital, which means that I will provide settings for $600. So I have $500. I'll provide 60%. So I will do settings for $300 and I remain with my $200. So what do you use the $200 for? I treat trading like a war. I call trading a war. Julius, why do you call trading a war? Because it is a fight between buyers and sellers. The one who has better tactics wins the war. So the one who has better tactics wins the war. The one who has less tactics loses the war. So I call trading a war. Okay. So for you to win the battle, if you the poor lose the war. So basically, that's why I call trading a war. Now, you cannot go into the war. I have a question, by the way. Can you go into the war with all your weapons? Nobody can go into the war with all their weapons. Okay. I have a question before I start. Can you go into the war with all your weapons? Okay, you go into the battle, the front with all your weapons, and you don't have any reserve. Let me know the answer in the chat. If you are the army commander and you have all your weapons, so if you are going into the war, you pick all your weapons and get them straight to the battlefield. Now, that's how most of you trade. you get all your capital because, yes, thank you so much. You reserve some good behind for counterattack. Thank you so much. You need to have some weapons for emergency. And so the reason why I talk about the 60% of your capital, you provide settings to help you trade, but you remain with 40% to help you when things go astray. One, you remain with the 40% to help you when there is a strange opportunity. When there is a strange opportunity. So you provide settings for only 60% of your capital. Now, I also want to ask a question. If you only have 5 guns and you are going to attack 1,000 men, could you reserve the 3? I also have another question. If you only have 5 guns for 100 men, do you reserve the 3 or you go with all? Let us get this build to reserve the 3. You have only 5 guns. Thank you so much. The answer is no. So people who don't have capital, there is no wallet management with going in with 60%. I don't want someone with $100 to say, Julius, so now I will provide the $60 for my 100, then remain with the 40. You can't preserve what you don't have. Are we okay? Give me one in the chat if that is clear. You can't preserve what you don't have. Give me one in the chat if that is clear. Good, good. Good. So you you can't preserve what you don't have. That is very, very important. Okay. Okay. Now, let's go into settings. Now, how do you provide the right settings depending on your capital? It's simple. The formula is here. The formula is here. Your capital divided by the margin call limit plus 1. That is the simple thing. It is the simplest, but let's go to Royal Queue and create one to simplify everything for everybody. These can be edited at any moment. So you come to your Royal Queue. What do you do, Julius? You tap on mine. Then next, you tap on my strategy setting. Then you ask yourself, if you are new, you will see the word add it now. If you are old, you just tap on the plus sign. Now, when you tap on the plus sign, in some coins, Binance or Hobby would allow you to buy with $10. In some others, the minimum will be 15. So when you see it is saying it has failed to buy, then you increase your first buying amount. Now, if I want to use $15 as my first buying amount and I have $50, I'll just say 50 divide by 15, and I'll get 3 margin calls. If I want to use 10, I'll say 50 divide by 10, I'll get 5 margin calls. If I want to use 12, I'll say 50 divide by 12, and I'll get 4 margin calls. So I'll take an example of 10. And so here on the margin call limit, I'll put 5. So I have $10. So I have $50. If the robot buys 5 times, it will be 50. But remember, before the robot buys, because the robot only buys these margin calls when the market has started going down. So sometimes the market may not go down. And so what do? I know the robot will first put in $10 before it comes and buys these remaining 5. So if I only have $50, I'll put a 4 here. So in the market, the robot will start with $10. If the market goes down by any drop, the robot will put in my remaining 4, and that will be $50. So if I have $100, I can say I want my first buying amount to be $10. So I have 10 margin calls. I want my first buying amount to be 12. I will have 8. I want my first buying amount to be 15. I'll have 6. If you have understood that first step, give me a 2 in the chat. If you have understood that first step, I'm still dealing with people with little capital because I always see them in the group. What about RC? What about RC? You don't have strategy for RC. What about we? What about RC? Who have little capital? Start from here. Have I answered your question? Because you can't apply the 60% strategy. Are we okay? Are we okay, guys? Let me know. Are we okay? Because you can't apply the 60% strategy because you don't have. You don't have. So you can't say now there is wallet management here. I don't understand people are saying no. I don't understand people are saying no. Don't get it now. Okay, so let me share my screen again. And we go. So you take personal decision. Now this means the robot will start with $10. When the market goes down, it will put in more $40. So that will be $50 of my capital. Now, open double position, it means that you want your robot, when it is going into the market, to double whatever it is buying. So you want your robot to be doubling whatever it is buying. It doubles whatever it is buying, doubles whatever it is buying. And so now I have a question. You only have $50 and your first buying amount is 10. Is it okay for you to switch on the double thing? Let me know in the chat. Is it okay? You only have $50. Your first buying amount is 10. Is it okay? Is it okay for you to switch on the double method? You know, me, I love understanding. I'm not here to give anyone cramming thing. Is it okay for you to double that whenever your robot gets into the market, it should double? Thank you. So now we are applying common sense because people usually complain on the group. This is common sense. So once you understand what the icon means, then you apply with all your senses when they're okay. Someone has $50. You find him switching on the double. Means the robot will now be putting in $20, which affects your results. Yes, because if you double, you'll end up with 100, which you don't have. I want to build business using common sense because there are no specific settings that anybody can provide. Now, what is margin call AI here? Instead of the robot following your instructions, the robot will automatically decide when it will buy, and it will automatically decide when it will put in your money in the market. The big question I have, everybody, would you love the robot to follow your personal instructions, or you would love the robot to follow its own, to decide when it should buy? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Would you love the robot to follow your personal instructions? Buy when the market has dropped by this. Buy when the market has dropped, or you want the robot to decide on its own? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. What would you love? What would you love? Let me know in the chat. Please reply, because when you reply, it shows you are understanding. You are not replying because I can still ask and don't come back in the chat. Because if you don't understand, you will still be complaining in the group. You'll be talking words that are not supporting us. The leaders are not helping us because you don't understand what is happening and what each one means. Please make sure you are answering in the chat, not from bad perspective. Thank you so much. You want the robot to do as you instruct. One of the best things that I love Royal Q is that Royal Q follows your personal instructions. Thank you so much. We are moving. We are moving. We are moving. So you want to be able to provide settings depending on your capital. Okay, now let's go. Now let's go. Next. So I will definitely switch off this margin call. These are the times the robot will buy. Now, let me explain hold position, take profit ratio, and hold position, take profit callback. Hold position, take profit ratio, and hold position, take profit callback. Now, what does this mean? It's simple. Just understand the meaning. When the market rises by 1.3 and tries to go down by 0.3, let the robot sell. Simple as that. When the market rises by 1.3 and tries to go down by 0.3, this, let the robot sell. As simple as that. So, what is the benefit? Sometimes the market might rise by 1.3 and goes down by 0.2, then it goes up again. So it means you can set 1.3 and get 5%. Simple. So when you give, by the way, the instruction is even here. I don't want to say it. Let me read it for you. On the callback, for the calls 1 up to 4, because the settings we provide here, we go. The settings we provide here are for margin call 1 up to 4, not more than that. The settings we provide here are for margin calls 1 up to 4. If you set more margin calls, the settings are the ones we have here. Let me put, if you put like 6 margin calls, the settings from call 5 up to 6 are these ones here. So these ones are call 5 up to 6. Then these ones are from call 1 up to 4. If you have understood that, give me a 2 in the chat. You don't need to record this meeting because it is already streaming live onto the YouTube channel. Give me 1 in the chat if you have understood that. As simple as that. So give me a, I requested for 2. Don't hear 1. Okay. Just a minute, guys. All right. Sorry for the delayed answers. Sorry for the delay a little bit delay, but we move. So basically, when you are making these decisions, you must be able to understand. You must be able to understand what it means, because when you understand what it means, then you can be able to do the right stuff. So for margin call 1 up to 4, the whole position take profit and the whole position take profit callback. The settings we provide are specifically for those 4, this one and this one. But I also want to inform you, ladies and gentlemen. I also want to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, that if you decide to put a 0 here, it means that immediately the market will rise 1.3. The robot will sell immediately. So when you put a low buy-in callback, I want you to understand that you will always miss out on big profit. So you should not put a big callback, or you should not put a very low callback. So the take profit callback, if it is set too low, the robot might sell immediately and you lose opportunity of making more money. If it is set too high, losses might occur. For example, if you put a 5 here and the market rises by 1.3, the robot will not sell unless it waits for the market to drop by 5%. Am I making sense? If you have understood that, give me a 4 in the chat. I know someone who has been here for some time is now getting annoyed, but someone who's new is enjoying the session. Hey, Brianna. Hey, if someone is, if people have been in a business, it's like they are teaching the same thing. They are teaching the same thing. I know that one. Let me go. I know that one. But me, people who are new to the business, they're enjoying. I know that one. Why is it that he's repeating that one? That I know. My friend, you will suffer. You will sambaratika kwa moto. You will sambaratika kwa moto. I don't, I repeat the same thing until you understand it. Hey, not enjoying. I don't look for it. Now let's go more specific now, so that we could be able to provide more great answers. Okay, all right. So let me share my screen again. Let me share my screen again so that we could go. Okay. Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. You'll bear with me, I will be a little bit inconsistent because okay. Now, so what is the ideal? For example, on our signals we provide, we are sometimes very specific. We are sometimes very specific, and we say that our take profit is 3%, and our take profit callback is 0.01. The big question you would ask yourself, why do we give that? The reason why we give the setup is to try to be very specific, that if the market rises by 3% and tries to go down by 0.01, let the robot sell, which means that your profit will be around 2 point something like 9, something like that. So it will not be 3%. Okay, that's why sometimes we put here and say our take profit is 3.01 and our callback is 0.01. So this means that we are saying that when the market rises by 3.01 and tries to go down by 0.1, let the robot sell. Julius, is there a way I could provide settings and make more money? Yes, the formula is simple. You can make, let me say, I want my take profit to be 2%, then I make my callback to be 0.3, which means that if this coin, like Acro, goes up by 2% and tries to come down, let me say by 0.2, my robot will not sell. It means it can still run again and give me a 10% take profit. If you have understood that, or if you have a question for that, please drop your question in the chat. Drop your question in the chat. Drop your question in the chat as we are getting this learned. Any question about what we have so far learned? Any question? Any question? Any clarity? Maximizing profit. If you have a question about maximizing profit, if you have a question about that setup, I want to go to the next thing when I'm concentratically sure that this step is handled very, very well. Okay, so let me know. Let me know in the chat. All right. Okay. So I see some questions in the chat. I have a question. I'm still on the callback. I'm going to handle margin call. How about when the signal has no whole position take profit? You can put a setup when the signal has what we call TP, or I drop a signal and I say take 2%. It means that you are going to change your take profit callback to 2%. That's what I mean. Then someone says here that please can you go through the profit callback part? But I've done that. I've said if you put a 1.3 on the take profit and on the callback we put a 0.3, it means that when the market will rise by 1.3 and tries to go down by 0.3, the robot will sell. All right? Okay. I mean the callback take profit. Yes, yes. So when you put a very high callback, it means that when the market will rise by your take profit, you'll miss out on some profit because the robot will not sell immediately. So you need an average. That's why we usually recommend 0.3. We recommend 0.2. Okay, that's what we usually recommend. Next question. Does the callback mean the market going down? A callback, you know, a callback is important because when the market rises by 1.3 and tries to go down, let me say by 0.3, the robot will sell and you'll make a 1%. So I hope that one is very clear. Okay, I am not making profits from my floating loss. What could be a problem? Is your robot buying? I think those questions I have answered. Someone says an example of a signal. Okay, preset price. This signal has a preset price. It has a take profit. Now, this system of trade tactics, this one is not from my team. It's from a different team. So the approach is a little bit different, but the signal has a take profit. Maybe that's what I would say. You just focus on the take profit. You can provide your personal settings. You can always provide your personal settings according to what you are going to understand. So for the settings, you can provide your personal settings according to what you basically, you are going to be able to understand. Okay, so just a minute, guys. I said I'm sorry, I'm gonna be a little bit uh gonna be a little bit not concentrating, but I hope now I'm going to concentrate. Just a minute. Okay, just a minute, guys. Just a minute. I don't need to take the. Okay, now let's continue. Sorry for that. Let's continue. This call is basically for giving people understanding. Okay. All right. So we are done with this part. Now we are going to go to this part. How should the robot buy my 6 margin calls? Okay. How should the robot buy my 6 margin calls? It's very important. How should the robot buy my 6 margin calls? How should the robot buy my 6 margin calls? How should the robot buy my 6 margin calls? It's what we call configuration. You configure how you want the robot to buy your calls. Now, let's go there. First and foremost, I want us to understand that the robot sells whatever it has bought. Call 1, call 2, call 3, call 4 at once. I want to repeat that statement. The robot sells whatever it has bought for call 1, call 2, call 3, and call 4 at once. I want to repeat that statement. So if the market drops, when the robot has only bought call 1, it will sell that. If the market rises, when it had only bought call 1 and call 2, it will sell those 2. If the market rises, when it has bought call 1, call 2, and call 3, it will sell these 3. If the market rises, when it has bought call 1, call 2, call 3, and call 4, it will sell all the 4 at once. Okay? So that's why in most cases, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things we do, we make sure that we provide settings that allow the robot, to buy the first 4 calls very fast. And I repeat that statement. That's why we provide settings. That allow the robot to buy the first 4 calls very fast. This is what we mean. We want a robot to buy these first 4 calls very fast. Then we provide big gaps in the next cells. So we can be able to make money when the market drops bigger, and also be able to make the money if the market drops faster and rises very fast. Give me a 2 in the chat if you have understood that. Give me a 2 in the chat if you have understood that. Give me a 2 in the chat if you have understood that. Why we provide the first 4 calls with little drops? Now it's up to you whether you make it a 0.1. It's up to you whether you make it a 0.2. It is up to you whether you make it a 0.5. It is up to you whether you make it a 1. It is up to you whether you make it a 10. It is up to you. Give me a 4 in the chat if you have understood my last statement, that it is up to you. Give me a 4 in the chat. Sir, me, I'm not going to My reason of being here, just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that. Ladies and gentlemen, my goal of this call is to bring understanding. My goal of this call is not to cram anything. My goal of this call is not to provide any specific settings. My goal is on this call is to give you personal independence on your robot to know what you can do, because everything can be edited as long as you understand what you are doing. Okay, I'm not here to describe how we use signals, because that call is usually done by Mr. Mobiru. That call is usually done by Coach Mopiwa. Okay, so I'm not here to discuss how you set signals. All right, me, I'm here to teach you how to provide your own setup. Okay. To provide your own settings. Okay, so you just need to understand, then you do accordingly. Thank you so much. Okay. Now let me share my screen. Let me share my screen again. Now, if I want to set a 10% drop, a drop of 10%, what I will do, I can say I want this to be 0.2. 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 So 0.2 plus 0.2 is 0.4. So this is 0.8. If I want a 10%, I'll just go to my calculator and say, from the first call, so 10 minus 0.8, it is 9.2. Then I divide 9.2 into the other remaining two margin calls. Then I will put, on the fifth call, I'll put a 4.6. Then on this one, I'll put a 4.6. This is a 10% drop. Why have I done this? I understand that whatever the robot will buy here, it will sell at once. Now, since my first buying amount is $10 and it's the money man I have, I'll just put a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1. That's how we set the margin configuration. I'm going to go in just for a little bit bigger capital. But are we okay? Are we okay with this first step? Give me one in the chat if you're okay, guys. Give me one in the chat. Give me one in the chat if you're okay with that. Give me one in the chat. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute. As simple as that. Now, I'm done with the margin configuration. People with the little capital, 100, 200, you know what you're supposed to do. Okay, now, what about the buy-in callback? What does the buy-in callback mean? Now, look, guys, our first margin call says when the market drops by 0.2. So the buy-in callback, this one, cannot be equal or greater than the margin call drop. For example, it is 0.2. It means that when the market drops by 0.2 and goes high by 0.5, let the robot buy. It means that you want your robot to buy when it's already in profit. So you can also not say that when your first drop is 0.2, also your buy-in callback should be 0.2. The robot will not set it, so it should not be equal or greater. So it means that our buy-in callback, since our first margin call is 0.2, our buy-in callback will be 0.1. If you have understood buy-in callback, give me a 4 in the chat. If you have understood buy-in callback, give me a 4 in the chat. If you have understood buy-in callback, give me a 4 in the chat. If you have understood buy-in callback, give me a 4 in the chat. Please check the passcode to the Zoom. New people are trying to join. The code is not letting them. The passcode is okay. The passcode, I think it is 200. It has no issues. The passcode is okay. It is them with their network. Some people say I've not understood. Okay, I'm going to repeat. Let me repeat the buy-in callback. You just need to understand, then you act accordingly. According to what you have understood. There is no cramming. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it means. If this robot is going to buy this call, it will wait for the market to drop 0.2. So you enter from here, it drops 0.2. But before it puts in the money in this call, it will wait for what we call the buy-in callback. It will wait for the market to rise by the buy-in callback. So since the drop is 0.2, the buy-in callback cannot be 0.2. If it is 0.2, it means that the market will drop by 0.2, rise by 0.2, and the robot will buy. The robot will not accept that. So the buy-in callback should be less than 0.2. So the market has dropped by 0.2. When it rises by 0.1, let the robot buy. The robot wants to buy when the market is on an uptrend. It doesn't want to buy when the market is still continuing going down. So when I put 0.2 here, I'll put a 0.1. So I cannot have a buy-in callback, this one, to be 0.5. So when the market goes down by 0.2 and rises by 0.5, the robot cannot buy when it's already in profit. That's what I mean. If you have understood, give me a 4 in the chat. If you have understood, give me a 4 in the chat. Yes, if the Zoom is saying Royal Q, you give the link as it is. The link has no problem. If you set up a 10% drop, 1 to 4, 0.8, does the robot buy all these at the same time? No, it buys each independently, but it sells them at once. If you have not understood, I'm not repeating. I think we have spent enough time on that. I want to go to something else. If you have not understood, I request you to go back to our YouTube channel. This thing has been recorded. You watch until you understand. Give me one in the chat if we should just now continue. Give me one in the chat if we just now need to continue. If someone has not understood, I request you to go back, watch Watch again because the Zoom has been recorded so that you understand. Okay? All right. All right. Now, I'll share my screen. I'll now share my screen and go to the next. Now, let me handle, before I go to the next, let me go back here. Let me handle people who have more capital. Okay? People who have more capital. For example, I have $500. I have $500. Now, the robot uses what we call a martingale strategy. A martingale strategy basically means you are buying, a martingale strategy basically means you are buying at different prices to sell at once. That's martingale. Okay. Now, let's describe. If you have, let me say $500. Remember, we said if you have $500 and above, 500 and above, the formula is simple. Ask yourself, what is 60% of my 500, which is $300? So you're going to provide settings for $300. You can make the following decisions. One, you can say, I'll make my first buy an amount 15. Then you say 15, $300 divided by 15. It is 20 margin calls. So you come here and say your margin call limit is 20. The take profit is okay, you can put as you want. Now, how do you set up your margin calls? You can decide to use a 1-1 throughout. So it means that whenever the market will be going down, the robot will be putting in $15, $15, $15, $15, $15. That is the first strategy. I will also recommend that you set your margin call drop. Now here it is 1-1 because it will be putting in $15. From the first call to the 20th call, you set your margin call drop between 30 to 50% drop from where we are. You create your margin call drop between 30 to 50. One may decide to make it 50, another one may decide to make it 30. Julius, what do you mean? Because the first calls are sold at once, it is okay. This is 0.8. So if I want to make it 30, I'll just go in the calculator and I say 30 minus 0.8 is 29.2. Then 29.2 divided by my remaining 16 margin calls, which is a 1.8. So I come here and I put from the fifth call, I put 1.8, 1.8, 1.8, 1.8. It means from when I add the total of these margin calls, they will be giving me a 30% drop. All I can say, let me go to the last one, I make this a 5. Let me go to this one, I make it a 5. Let me go to this one, I make it a 5. Let me go to this one, I make it a 5. So this is a 20% drop. I'm going to explain why I do this. Then I say 20. If you don't pay attention, it's up to you. So then I say, I want a 30% drop. But now I have already 20 plus 0.8. I have 20.8. Already I have 20.8. Now 20 minus 30. So I remain with 9.2. So these remaining ones, I want 9.2. I'm going to explain. So now these were 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 8. So from the 20, from the 30 margin, from the 20 margin calls, 1, 2, 3, 4. Already 8 have been taken. So how many have I remained with? So I had 20 margin calls. 8 have been taken. I remained with the 12. Now I will say 9.2 divided by the 12. So it will be 0.7. So I'll put a 0.7 through the remaining ones. Why? I want my robot to buy these calls first so that it can be buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, and only let it get stuck when things get berserk at the last 4 margin calls. So you have 3 strategies. You could decide to just divide and put the same figure. You could decide to make the first ones smaller. You could decide to put a 1-1 this side. Give me a 1 in the chat if you've understood that. If you don't pay attention, it will be hard for you to understand. If you pay attention, I'm making things very easy. So you provide settings according to your capital. So even if Julius sends a screenshot, please, I request you to go back to the YouTube channel. Even if Julius sends the signal, I have my own settings that I'm comfortable with. Am I making sense? I don't matter whether Julius has analyzed this coin how good, but I have my personal robotic settings. I don't know if I'm making sense. Let me know in the chat if I'm making sense. Even if Julius tells me to use this type, I have my own settings. I have my personal settings that I have developed. Personal. Whether it is a signal, whether it is a coin in the most negative, I have my personal settings that are giving me profit. Even when the market goes against me, I have no problem. I set a 50% drop. I set a 30% drop. That even if Acro keeps on dropping, me as Julius, I'm okay. Am I making sense to someone? Because I set my strategy depending on how I feel. I set my strategy depending on the capital I have. I don't know if people understand. Me, I'm not here to provide settings for maybe $10, maybe $100, maybe. Me, I'm not doing that. Me, I'm teaching you to understand. Because if someone is still asking me, Julius, could you provide me settings for $100? Then it means you have not been following. Then it means you have not been following. Me, I'm not here to provide any settings. I'm just giving you ideas. I'm just giving you how you use your robot to your own understanding, how you provide your robot to your own understanding. I've said the minimum drop you can do is between 30 to 50%. It's up to you. It is up to you. For you, if you want to set up your settings, the minimum is 30%. Don't do less than 30%. So you can say, me, I will set this coin until it drop 50%. It's up to you. But the minimum, according to where the market is, let it be 30%. It is up to you how you put in your settings, as long as you have understood. If you have not understood, go to the YouTube channel. If you have not understood, go back to the YouTube channel and watch this recording again. Because if I have $100, let me show you. If I have $100, I will say, I've finished the first part. I have $100. How many margin calls can I create? If I want my first buying amount to be 10, it means I will have 9 margin calls, not 10, because I only have $100. Then when I come to the margin configuration, I want my robot to buy the first 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I would love my robot to buy the first 4. So when it buys the first 4, basically I will be able to win. Then I will say, what about the remaining 9? I want this one, maybe 0.5. I want it to buy this call very fast. Then I say 0.5. Then I say 0.5. How much is this? This is 1 plus 0.5. That is 1.5 plus 0.8. That is close to 2. Now, what about these remaining 2? Then I say, I don't have money. I'll put 5 and maybe I'll put 10. For the worst case to the worst. Just understand that if you have little capital, you have less options. If you have little capital, you have less options. Can we be able to understand that? You have little capital, you have less options. If you have more capital, you have more options. As simple as that. That's why we say capital is king. Here, capital is king. Give me a 2 in the chat if you have understood that. You have more capital, you have more options. Now, I'll end with the following words. Basically, use one shot. Basically, use one shot. I don't love to overteach. Basically, use one shot. We have provided settings for $500, $1,000. But people who have your capital, if you are here and you have your capital, I would recommend you do the following. If you have your good capital, for example, if I have $1,000, I can make my first buying amount 15. I have my $1,000. I open maybe 20 margin calls. These are enough. Then I use a 2, 4, 8, 16, which means that if I add this plus this plus this plus this, let me go to a calculator. $16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2, it is 30. So 30 times 50 is 450. So 450 minus my $1,000, if it's the one I want to use, I remain with 550. Now, come down here, distribute your 550 in these remaining margin calls. So if I've removed off the 4 from the 20, I remain with 16. So I will say, now 550 divided by 16. 550 divided by 16. All, I say 550, my remaining balance, divide by 16. It means that when the robot finishes to buy the first 4 margin calls, because 34 times 16 is 540, 3 times 17. Okay. So it means that when my robot will buy the first 4 calls, and I come back and I check when my robot has bought the first 4 calls, I'll come back here and change my first buying amount and I make it 34. Am I making sense? So that the robot now will be buying with $34, $34, $34 for the remaining 16 times. And so I'll be getting what we call sub-sales. I'll just run away from here. I'll be getting what we call sub-sales. The coin will be at floating loss. The coin will be at floating loss. But my robot is buying and selling, and I'm getting what we call sub-what? Sub-sales. I'll be making profit, although I'm in floating loss. It will not have sold the first 4. It will not have sold the first 4. But from the 5th call downwards, my robot will be buying and selling. Give me a 2 in the chat if you have understood that. Yeah, it is. I'm not here to be perfect. It's up to you. As long as you have understood the idea. My goal is to give you the concept. The goal is you to go and create your own trading strategy. They send yes signal. Already you have your own trading strategy depending on your capital. I don't want to exceed here because too much of anything is always bad. Like we promised, we already have settings for those 30% drops I've talked about on your different capital. So if you don't understand, you could use the settings we provide. We have settings from $520, $720, and $1,020. We believe that last week we did not finish up the strategy, but we believe this weekend, people with the $500 and below, we're also going to drop you our own strategy. So you can decide to use this Zoom to create your own strategy, or you can decide to follow the one we give you. It's up to you. Lastly, after you have created your strategy, I'll end with this. You can provide your strategy to all the coins in Royal Queue. Let me repeat that statement. You can provide your strategy to all the coins in Royal Queue. For example, you see me when I come to trade. Me when I find a good coin, I don't ask, I just tap, confirm. I don't add any strategy because my strategies are already in all coins. So me, I just pick a coin and I tap start. Me, I don't wait. No. Me, I pick a coin, I tap start. Me, I don't wait. So how do you do that? It's what I want to talk about now. Come on my strategy. Come on the setting icon. When you come on the setting icon, tap on this. I've already done a video about it. Tap on it. Then you tap on all coins. Then you confirm. Then you tick all. If you already have coins that are trading, just untick them. Just untick those two that are trading. Then you tap on batch setting. Then you tap on trade setting. Then you tap on manual create. Then you tap on choose a strategy. Your strategy is already seated here. Your strategy is already seated here. Then you tap on it. When you tap on it, it will sometimes refuse to change the first buying amount. Make sure the first buying amount is sorted. This is my strategy. I've already designed it. And me, I basically use the 520 or the 720 settings. Me, that's what I use. Confirm all the coins in Royal Queue. All the coins will receive this setting. All of them will receive. You see, it is loading them. All of them will receive this setting because I've already created it. So me, when they send a signal, I don't put in settings again. I just come here, which coin? Let me see which one I can think about now. Maybe Beck. I just tap on Beck, market price, martingale, next. The strategy is in here. So what I do, I only enter the preset price here. Now, for you who are traders and attend our morning trading class, this is for you. Come on the coin. This is for you traders. Let's look at Beck. Those who attended this class, I think Beck delivered. You see, it delivered our take profit. Come here on Beck. You traders listening to me, traders on the call that know how to analyze the market, that attend our market analysis call. Now, Beck is still giving money, by the way. Chey. Now, you want to trade Beck. When it does what? When it drops by a certain drop, you enter, you pick here from current price up to, let me say here. You want your robot to buy when the baker drops by 3.6, come here. Enter preset price. Traders, come on the drop rate. What was the drop rate? 3.66. Put here 3.66. When the market will touch this price is when then it tap start. Traders, are we on the call? People who attend the morning class, are we on the call? So you want the market, so your coin will be here in green, waiting for the market to drop, then it will buy. Traders, are we on the call? Traders, are we on the call? Traders, are we on the call? People who attend the trading class, you can also measure a drop size and use it to wait for the market to touch your drop. Then the robot will buy. That is for you. Now, for you who don't know, just to follow the signals that have a preset price. So for you, you tap on preset price, enter that price. When the market reaches, the robot will buy. I'm done. It is already late. Allow me stop here. See you on the next calls. If you have not understood, feel free to drop your question on the YouTube channel. Come and subscribe for this YouTube channel. It has no ads. It is a freelance business. There is no business running here. It is called the Crypto Ambassadors. No, please, no, please. It is here. It is called the Crypto Ambassadors. Come and watch this video. I will drop the link. Come and watch this video and be making money comfortably. So I wish you a nice day, ladies and gentlemen. We love you all. Those who have not understood, understand it will be a process. You'll not be able to learn everything in one day. God bless you and have a fantastic day. Thank you so much. Love you all.